and direct threat by actions of every level of government that impacts Hamilton. We know that there is so much more that could be being done to build real, affordable, accessible housing here in this city by every level of government. You know, for anyone who's listening to this online or later on, or who is here today, what I want you to take from what I'm saying here is that, you know, we have a lot of broader reactionary forces that gather here in Hamilton. Be it folks who would attack our neighbors in encampments, folks who would attack migrants in the downtown of Hamilton, and folks who actively undermine policies and programs that support the wider community. These pieces are all connected. We can't forget that. Ultimately, you know, as one often hears and says, an injury to one is an injury to all. We exist in this broader society here in Hamilton in solidarity with each other as community and in the hope of building something better together. So the message I'd want to leave you with as a very brief opening to this is this. In spite of the 30 years of social murder brought on by successive reactionary and neoliberal governments on every level of government, we have an opportunity here to stand with our neighbors, to build something together, and to build something in solidarity with each other. We really, really do, friends. And those are the values we have to hold to. Because, you know, today we're talking about, you know, broader struggles around protecting and defending encampment residents and unhoused folks. But tomorrow, it very well may be your community. And the fact is that the kinds of threats that are being used against unhoused folks, the kinds of legislation that are being raised by Ontario's big-ish mayors, you know, whatever they'd like to call themselves, are threats to all of us. They're threats to your rights, to your safety, and the safety of your neighbors and our community, and communities all across Ontario. So friends, I just want to leave you with that, and with the hope that we can come together and continue to come together in solidarity with our neighbors. Thank you.
Can you get your name first?
My name's Brad Evoy. My pronouns are he, him. I'm the Executive Director at Disability Justice Network of Ontario and a member of the Halibu Mi'kmaq Nation. Thank you. E-V-O-Y.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Brad. Next up, I'm going to call up James Lambert from HESN.
Hi folks, thanks for coming today. My name is James Lambert. I'm a volunteer with the Hamilton Encampment Support Network. And in a moment, we're hopefully going to hear from some of the folks who are living in the encampments at Bayfront about their take on what's been going on and the proposed encampment site. But I want to just give us a bit of context and remind us how we got here. Beginning in the 1990s, we began to financialize housing and treat housing more as an investment than a utility. And since then, we've lost over 500,000 units of affordable housing. In 2018, the Ford government ended rent control on new builds. And then the COVID pandemic hit. People who were immunocompromised, people who had family who were immunocompromised, who worked in high exposure frontline jobs, lost their jobs, lost their apartments, and ended up collecting in communities, in encampments, to keep each other safe. And the city's initial response to that was to tear those encampments down. We heard councillors describing that effort as a game of whack-a-mole. And in response to community outrage and public attention, those evictions have persisted at a lower level in the last couple of years. But now that the community has stopped paying attention, and now that time has gone on, we see cities across the province and the Premier himself wanting to return to the pre-pandemic status quo where encampments are torn down as a matter of course. I want to remind everyone that the Ontario Superior Court decision, the reference case for the City of Waterloo, affirmed what encampment advocates and people living in encampments have been saying for years, which is that shelter spaces, while they might be available, are not necessarily accessible, especially to folks who are deemed, quote, high acuity by the city, folks dealing with complex mental health needs, folks with partners, folks with pets, folks who don't want to get their stuff thrown out. There are all kinds of very legitimate reasons why people do not want to go into shelter spaces. Last week at the GIC, we saw Esther Pauls introduce a motion that upon the construction of just 192 more shelter spaces would see encampments banned across the city. In that same motion, the councillor recognized that there are at least 300 people living in encampments. And it made no mention of the accessibility barriers discussed in the Waterloo reference case. We saw 13 big city mayors submit a letter to Doug Ford asking the Premier to override the charter rights of encampment residents to invisibilize the problem. When I look at the last 4 years, when I look at the conversations I've had with people in encampments, and then I compare that to the rhetoric of politicians, I'm struck by the fact that these politicians have failed to provide housing, and rather than taking accountability for that mistake, are now trying to hide the consequences of that problem. Doug Ford recently said that people in encampments need to get off their ASS and get a job. There are people in this encampment working full-time who cannot afford rent. There are people on ODSP, which is about $1,300 a month, who can't afford a one-bedroom $1,700 apartment, which, by the way, some cities consider to be affordable. We need to start accepting the reality that the market is not going to deliver a magical solution to this problem. The province needs to step up and build non-market housing, and in the meantime, it needs to work with residents to ensure that they find safety in the places that they choose. And if that means encampments, then that means encampments. If that means tiny homes, then that means tiny homes. But tiny homes on a lot with toxic waste under it is not a humane solution for anybody. And I think that we're extremely concerned that this so-called solution, this temporary solution, is going to become a long-term solution and is going to reproduce all of those same violences of the shelter system. So I want to invite now, if there are some residents here who've come up very courageously, and I know that folks are a bit nervous to speak. If they want to speak, I want to invite them to the microphone to do that now. Paul?
Okay, sorry, I wasn't expecting the cameras and everyone here today. I thought this was just going to be a meeting. But yes, I am homeless right now, and it's the first time I've ever been this homeless in a tent. And I'm just, I don't even know where to start. I have so much I want to say. But the one thing I do want to do is call out Doug Ford, Andrea Horvath, or any of them that have said that the homeless need to get off their ASS and get a job. Well, it's not that easy. I have been putting out resumes for almost a year, and I still haven't got a phone call or anything. And I would like to challenge them to come out and spend a weekend with us, because we are not all the same. And people seem to categorize us and put us all in the same lump. And I've actually been told that the homeless are a disease. And I think that's wrong. We are not all in the same boat. Like James mentioned, there are people here that have working and still cannot find a home to live in. The worst thing they did, like he said, was take away rent control. And now landlords have put it to prices for rent to a spot where we can't afford to live in them. Sorry, I'm really nervous and forgetting what I wanted to say. And they've always said that, they will punish the landlords or whatever like that do stuff like this, and I've never seen it. I'm losing my train of thought here. But no, I would really like to challenge Doug Ford to come out and spend a weekend with somebody and see what it's like, because we are not all in the same category. A lot of us don't want to be out here, and it has become a situation where I have seen the police and bylaw force people to be camping together that don't want to camp together. I've seen violence and things that should not be happening. We should be helping each other and not being discriminated against, and that's what happens when we're homeless. People look down on us, and for as much help as we can get, we also get pushed off to the side. Like they say, they want to put us down in this Tiffany and Barton area that's contaminated, and it's basically for couples and people with animals. Me as a single person, they want to force us to go into a shelter again. I don't want to stay in a shelter. I've stayed there before, and the first 2 days that I was there, my things get stolen. My phone gets stolen, the computer gets stolen. Things I need to be able to find work or jobs, to get calls about housing and that. And no one does anything about it. Some of the things that you see in shelters are, no one would want to be staying there for those reasons, and nothing gets done about it. I see people rapid drug use in shelters, ODing, and they just continue to let it go on, and nothing's ever done. And now they want to force us all into one area, and I kind of feel like we are sheep that are being put in this one little enclosure that's going to feel like a prison to us, while the wolves just wait outside the door to slaughter all the sheep. And it's not stopping. I don't see why there's all these empty lots that throughout the city streets, where if they were to work with landlords or people who own these lots, tear down these houses, maybe giving them an incentive to put some of these little houses on these lots, where now we can feel like we're a sense of the community, part of the community, safety. We'd have an address, our doors could be locked, but they want to put us in an area where it's going to be violent, because you're going to be forced to live with people that you don't want to live with. And I don't think, that's fair to a lot of people. We are not all here by choice. Some of us have no other way out but to be in a tent. And like I said, now you got bylaw and police force us to be clumped together with people we don't know. And it creates situations that are not only dangerous to us, but dangerous to public, because you never know what's going to happen. But like I said, I would like to challenge Doug Ford or Andrea Horvath to come out here, but I do believe that they're too much cowards to come out and actually see the truth and what is going on, because we're not all the same. A lot of us don't want to be here, like I said. We want off the streets, but landlords have made it impossible for us to get rent or pay rent. We don't get enough on OW. We don't get enough on ODSP. And it's been like that for years. When we're only getting $733 on OW, and a rent is $1,100, $1,200, $1,400 for a room in an apartment or a house, how can we afford that? We can't. So that forces us to be in this situation that we're in now. Like, I don't want to be homeless. I had a great job at one time, my fiance and everything, and since this has all come this, I've lost my fiance, I lost my place to live, I lost my job when COVID hit, and I haven't been able to find a way out of it, no matter how much I try and how much I ask for help. And then that's when people say, well, you're not trying enough, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, you're not doing this. But you don't know what I'm doing. These people don't see what we try and do on a daily basis. Trying to survive out here is a full-time job. We have to find places to eat. We have to find places to shower, go to the bathroom, get water. Like now, they want us out of here soon. I'm right down here on Bayfront. They want us out of here soon. Where are we going to go next? Just to another place that in a month they're going to kick us out again. And it's an ongoing thing. It just keeps happening and happening. And no one really does anything about it. Except, like, we have great people who do try and help us, but I think a lot of them see the struggles that we're having too. And they don't know what to do sometimes. And I hate saying that, but sometimes they even run out of options for us. So if we can't get these options and actually have the government enforce things that they say, like the rent control, where if landlords are going to be discriminating against people on OW and that, and they say, oh, they don't do it. Yeah, they do. By raising the rent to where we can't pay it, are refusing to have someone on OW or ODSP live in their places. And I know housing and stuff like that, they do try and help, but when we go and try and get a list from housing, it's always places that are way out of our reach. There's got to be landlords out there who are willing to take OW or Ontario Works and maybe get in touch with housing, so we have a list of people who would be willing to help out, direct payment right to them, which is a guarantee money for them. But a lot of them don't want to do that. I don't understand why, but and I've heard the government, or Hamilton, says there's only 400 homeless people in Hamilton. There's 400 homeless people in shelters alone. And then you have all the people out here on Bayfront and all over the city as well. And like, I don't know, I figure there's probably about 1,600 homeless, if not more. And there's no reason. Like you said, there's people on disabilities and elderly people that are out on the streets. And why? Veterans who are out on the streets. Why? None of us should be on the street. Everyone should be homed. But if the government keeps doing what they're doing, and letting landlords get away with it, there's always going to be homeless people, unfortunately. But like I said, that's why I would like to challenge Doug Ford, Andrea Horvath, or anyone to come and spend one weekend with me with $5 in their pocket, the clothes they're wearing, and their cell phone with no charger or anything for it, and see exactly what it's like, and see that not all of us are the same, and that not all of us are here by choice. I don't think they will, though, because like I said, I think they're too much of a coward to come out and actually face us and see the truth of what's going on. And until they do come out here and see what's going on and actually live what we're living, nothing's going to change. And we need to change what's happening right now. Because if not, it's just going to get worse and worse. More homeless people, or they're just going to try and kick us out of the city. I've heard of places doing that where they're trying to force the homeless out of the city to live on the outskirts instead of helping them. That's not a solution. Sooner or later, it's going to become some sort of revolution or something. I don't even know what to say. But it's, after a while, people aren't going to take it. And they're going to start fighting back in ways that we don't want to see. Like, I don't want to see violence and stuff like that. I like the peaceful living in a place, having a roof over my head, and security. And that the government just needs to change what they're doing and realize that homeless people are not a disease, and that we are people too, with feelings and emotions, and we want the help. We don't want to be out here, all of us. Some people do, and I totally agree with that. Like, I haven't been perfect all my life and everything. I'm not perfect, and I'll be the first to admit I am not a perfect person. But I also don't deserve to be in the situation I'm in right now and having to deal with some of the stuff I'm dealing with. And I can take care of myself, but a lot of people out here can't, and they need the help before I do. But no one's helping them. Why not? And we need a change. The government needs to see what they're doing and stop being cowards and stop, put your money where your mouth is and come out and see exactly what it's like. If not, please quit talking crap about us and saying that we're a disease to the city. We don't want to be like this. So please come out and take a look. If not, nothing will ever change.
Thank you, Paul.
Paul, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
That's just,
Yes.
this might clear something up. The thing behind Esther Paul's motion at City Council seems to be people on the mountain saying they want the encampments out of their parks. They want the parks back. They don't feel safe in the parks. What do you say to these folks?
I can understand that because at the beginning, when the encampment started and that, you're supposed to stay so far away from parks and everything. And I do agree with that to a point because some people do ruin it. But that's why I say they put all the homeless in the same category, that we're all a disease, we're all, pieces of crap or whatever like that. And we're not all like that. Yes, there are people that have abused that. And there's got to be a better solution to it. Like down here, it's closed until April, but they still want us out at the end of the month. Where we are right now, we weren't bugging anybody or anything like that, and then they forced people that were down because we weren't in compliance and our tents weren't far enough apart and stuff like that. So they forced us all together until it became a violent situation. But no, I do agree. There are people that do ruin the parks and stuff like that. But there is a lot of people that don't as well. They need to figure out a different solution with the parks and everything like that. And I know they have security and that. But yeah, see, that's what I mean. They clump us all in the same thing, and all the homeless are the same. We're not all the same. A lot of us do follow the rules. And it's not fair to the good ones that we're judged by everybody else that's homeless. So,
Just one other question.
Yeah.
What's the answer here? Like, is it tiny homes? Is it allowing these encampments to go on, or is it rent?
No, the big thing is they have to bring back rent control. When they're not doing anything to the landlords that are putting the rent above or discriminating against OW, and it does happen. It's happened to me. I've had a place lined up and everything, and as soon as I pull out the paperwork for them to sign OW, oh, sorry, no. But if we complain about it, nothing's done about it. The government's the one that brought this in to take the rent control away and say that they'll penalize landlords that discriminate, but they never do. I've never heard of one landlord that's been penalized because they're discriminating against people on OW. And they need to bring it back. They need to make more affordable housing. And like I said, there's all sorts of little properties. The little homes that they're going to put down here on contaminated land, myself, even if I had a couple or an animal, I would never go to. Well, I don't want to live on contaminated land. Not at all. Sure, it's a fine solution right now, but they got to run pipes underneath there for water and everything like that. What if one of those pipes break over and all that stuff's leaking into the water? They don't know for years what's going to happen. Last thing I'd want to do, if someone had a kid that was staying down there or something, they're growing with a tail or third nipple, or like, how is that safe? Because from what I understand, the number one law is the health and safety of humans. That is not healthy or safe for humans. And especially when they're clumping them all together with people that may not like each other already, it's just creating a potential for violence and making things worse and making the homeless look worse than what they already are. Like I said, I've already been told by someone who's this far away from being homeless herself that we're a disease. And we're the reason why this looks like this or this. I've been blamed for stealing all the picnic tables out of the park here. But yet if you go down to where their storage is, there's all the picnic tables because they put them away for the winter. But I was told that we stole them all. It's just, people just assume stuff, and it's the worst stuff that they could possibly think. And that's what I would like to see stop. Like, I don't want to be here. I've had people go by and laugh at me taking pictures, and when I ask them not to, shrug their shoulders. To me, that's not part of the solution, or that's part of the problem. Instead of laughing at me, hey, if you have a job or something, for anybody that's homeless that's not working, let us know. I would gladly take a job right now. I don't care what it is to get back on my feet. But like I said, I've handed out resumes for a year and nothing. You know, I'm 54 years old. I was a superintendent of apartment buildings for years, worked 7 days a week. Now I'm in this situation, and I cannot get out of it no matter how much I try. Sure, Ontario Works has a new program where you can get up to $3,000 or something when you're moving into a home for first and last and furniture and all that. That's fine, but I still only get $733 a month after that. So how am I going to pay for my rent and my food and everything? They make it impossible for us to get out of the situation we're in. And I would like to see that change. Even if it's not for me, it's for other people. Perfect. Even if this little thing here gets 10 people off the street, I'm happy. I've accomplished something, or these people here have accomplished something. And I would like to thank everyone that's here to hear our side and what's going on. Because it's like I said, we are not all here by choice. But some of us have no choice but to be here, but we don't want to. And the people that really want help are going to be the ones that get help and move forward. Yes, there's going to be people that don't, and I totally understand that. But please, quit lumping us all together and assuming that every homeless person is the same, because we're not.
Can we get your name?
Thanks. Paul.
Your last name?
Just Paul. I'd rather just stick with that. Thank you.
Just so you don't get a sore arm.
Thanks so much, Abe.
I think we're struggling a bit.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak?
Your arm was getting tired.
Hello.
Hang on, let's fix this for you.
Hi. My name's Amber, and I've been in this encampment situation now I didn't even look at myself as an encampment, to be honest. I started camping out here probably about 3 years ago, and then I was housed, and then now I'm out here again, unfortunately, due to the guy that I was paying rent to wasn't paying rent. So when I first came out here, every day I had to take my tent down, and I had to put it back up every single night because it was illegal to tent out here. Now, obviously, you can imagine that sucked for me. I mean, I'm single female, I have my dog and my partner, but at the same time, when we came out here, we had nothing. We started fresh, and it was all new to us, and of course we're not, I wasn't used to this situation or being out on the streets at all. So I've been out here for a year now, and I've stayed in Bayfront Park. I've tried to stay here because it's the safest location for myself to be in, I think. And in this year, I've tried my hardest to, apply for places. I've talked to landlords. I've went online. I've looked for a multitude of places. I've had not one or two people even message me back about an apartment due to my situation. Now, I could go into a place and lie and tell them that, I'm housed and give them the whole, shebang. But instead of doing that, I was honest, and that got me nowhere. And as for help, I haven't had any sort of help financially. I've not had any offers for places since I've been out here. There's a multitude of reasons as to why, I'm still here. Now, of course, I've had to deal with people being very judgmental. I've had people go by and, as Paul was saying, they take pictures, they laugh at you, they throw things. I've had people throw things at us. And try to get us out of the park, and they've said, it's a shame on you for being here, and a number of things that they've said, which we have feelings too. Just because we're homeless doesn't mean we're not people, and that we don't have hearts, and that we're not just like them. The landlord thing is the biggest struggle because they don't want people to destroy their homes, and the credit checks and the whole 9 yards that they make people go through. A lot of us have terrible credit. A lot of us don't have a way to show that we're good rent paying citizens. So with that being said, they stop us there. We're not even given a chance to see a place or to pay rent. We're not given that opportunity whatsoever. How can we prove ourselves worthy if we're not given a chance? So that's partially, I think, the main struggle here is that we're all going to be left out here if that's the case. If no one's willing to give us an opportunity. I was housed for a year, as I mentioned. The man that I was paying rent to didn't think that it was, my rent should go to the right place. So unfortunately, the sheriff showed up and they barred us out and also barred me of all my belongings. I wasn't allowed to get any of my stuff, and then I was kicked out on the street. So we started here with a blanket on us, and that's about it. As far as our current situation, we're still out here, and like no one is offering us anything other than that. And I'm not saying we want a handout, because that it doesn't make any sense. And I understand kind of to the point of we got to get off our ASS. We're all off our asses trying to do things, like I don't know one person that's out here that doesn't work their hardest every day to even live, even to take a shower, the lengths we have to go through, or, to do the normal things anybody would normally do. We fight every day to even do those things. And it's like, I don't think people understand sometimes what we have to go through to even shower. The bathrooms down here we've been shut out of, the main bathrooms they've closed, and then the bathrooms in the far side, they've become universal. So now we have to share washrooms with males as well, females and males. I think it's very odd to, come down to that. But, they've shut off all water down here. Even like there used to be a tap that used to be on, we used to be able to utilize. They've shut all that off. They've taken every single resource that we could possibly utilize here, including electricity. They've barred us from, which is, it sucks because we have to go even further and work even harder to get to, even charge our phones. Even to be able to reach anybody, like, obviously safety is an issue for a lot of people out here. Like, our families worry. I still have, a family that looks out for me, that tries to get a hold of me. When my phone's dead, obviously I can't get a hold of anybody. But there are times when, we're ill, or, I'm immunocompromised myself. So I've struggled quite a bit out here. I've fought infection. I've fought, sickness. I had my first seizure I've ever had in my lifetime. I've had it out here. And it's been a scary situation for myself, for my partner as well, because he's, new to all these things. And especially, me being this ill, I can't really help our family when I'm, down like that. So, yeah. I don't think it's right that we have to suffer like this. Like I've gone to, I don't even know. I've applied for housing. I called a year ago or a year and a half ago, and I still haven't gotten a call back yet as far as, me being housed or getting a place. I was on the top priority list because I was in an abusive situation for quite some time there. And when I left that situation, I was put on that list, and I still haven't had a word back yet, which is, daunting to myself. And I'm just obviously myself wondering when there's going to be something that changes. Yeah, I think that's about it, all I have to say.
Ask you a quick question.
Sure.
What would you think if Doug Ford actually does use the notwithstanding clause to override the court decision that allows these encampments to be here, and the cities could make these encampments illegal? What do you think of using the notwithstanding clause?
Well, I just don't understand where we're all going to go. I mean, you could put a Band-Aid on the situation, or you could, get us out of sight, but we're just going to have to go to another location. We're just going to have to, we're going to be dispersed at that point. I mean, we all thought that the way of keeping us in one place, or the way of looking, it was a way to look at us and see what we're doing and keep tabs on us. But, the reason for us all being in clusters, I don't understand. I just don't understand why all the mandates and why all the the new rules for camping if we're just going to all be shut down anyways. It's like, where are you going to put us? Some of us are going to have to go under a bridge somewhere. Some of us are going to have to go into another location, which is most likely going to be illegal. So by law, and police are going to come and remove us, and then they're just going to tell us we have to go somewhere else. It's just a way of having us move all our stuff around until we're in a worse situation than we've ever been in. The city has destroyed my things. I don't even know. The first time I came out here, they took all my belongings, pictures of my daughter that I can't get back, just everything. They took everything. When I came back to my spot and I had nothing, when I confronted the city about what they did with my stuff, the people down here, they said they didn't know. Well, not like an innocent bystander didn't just come down here and pick up my belongings and carry them over their shoulder and bring them out of the park. So them doing stuff like that and ruining people's lives like that, I don't think it's right. I don't know. I don't know the solution. At the same time, I don't agree with getting rid of all of us in one place and then dispersing us.
Sorry, would you go to Barton Tiffany? Is that a solution, you think?
I don't think that's a solution either. I think it's one of the worst ideas on. Mostly because, I mean, look at it in the sense that we have to share accommodations. We have to share a kitchen. We have to share a bathroom, I think. They're little sheds. I mean, if anything, we have more room where we are now, and we have more freedom where we are now doing what we're doing than we would in a place where we're all in one place. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's a solution at all. I think it's going to be a shit show.
Thanks, Emma.
Okay, I think I think that might wrap us up for folks who wanted to speak. So I just want to thank everyone again for coming out today and showing their support for this, and to those who came to listen. So yeah, thank you very much.
Do you think this is sanitary? Have you watched CHCH and seen the fires that are going on in the